Hi, I'm Chef Sueson Vess. 2020 has certainly had its share of challenges, but as survivors, we are always ready to overcome whatever life throws at us. So welcome to Duke Cancer Institute's Survivorship Cooking Demonstration, Home Edition, and welcome to my kitchen. So from the comfort of your home and mine, let's talk about food and how we can build our immunity to become an unwelcome host to diseases and viruses. Whether we are survivors, supporters, or strugglers, wherever you are today, it's a good day to look at the possibilities, to learn and to eat foods with benefits, foods that love you back. So this time, I'm going to talk to you about eating a grain-free meal, a dairy-free meal, a sugar-free meal that may have at one time been completely off limits. So fettuccine Alfredo, full of starch and fat and cheese and things that, at least for me, I can't have anymore. And so I'm going to make a grain-free, dairy-free version of this Alfredo sauce. So instead of using pasta, I'm going to use spaghetti squash. And this is a half of a spaghetti squash that I've already roasted. And along with this video presentation, there will be a handout that has all these recipes. But I roasted spaghetti squash to get the little strands out. So I cut it in half, I scraped out the seeds, and I roasted it in the oven. And this is what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. And so all you do is scrape it with a fork, and you get these little strand-like pieces of squash that are like spaghetti. They're really like angel hair pasta. Now, you could use pasta in this if that's something that you want to include in your diet, or you could spiralize using a spiralizer to use yellow squash or zucchini squash and get your fake noodles from there. But we're going to use the spaghetti squash today just so that you can see how easy and how good that is. So I want to talk about a category of nutrients called beta-glucan. So beta-glucan is a type of fiber, and it's found in mushrooms and in some whole grains. And beta-glucans have this beneficial role in boosting our immune system that can actually help to inhibit cancer growth. So we're all about that. And as we're all here for the Duke Survivorship Day, I need to share that I am a cancer survivor. I am an ovarian and breast cancer survivor, and I'm happy and healthy thanks to all the good people at Duke and eating a healthy diet and having a healthy lifestyle, I believe. And staying positive, regardless of whether we're sheltering at home or wherever we are in our lives. We have to keep that focus on what's positive and good in our lives. So beta-glucans in mushrooms. Two of the biggest sources of beta-glucans are shiitake and maitake mushrooms. And not surprising, those are in this recipe that we're making today. And I talk often about eating all the colors of the rainbow. So when we eat yellow foods like the spaghetti squash, we are getting a lot of beta carotene and some potassium and other great flavonoids, including lycopene. So these nutrients help lower our cholesterol, they help to boost our immune system, and that's what we want to do. We want to become that inhospitable host for cancers and viruses, and do the best that we can to keep our bodies healthy. And this is one way we can do that. The other thing that's in this recipe are onions and other white foods that have the flavonoids and the beta-glucans. So we've got lots of things covered in this recipe. So to make our creamy sauce, which I've already done here, I mean, this is a thick and rich, creamy sauce. The way that we achieve that is we soak some nuts. So these are cashews, raw unsalted cashews that I soaked overnight. These are almonds that I also soaked overnight. Now I use the slivered almonds. You can use whole almonds, whatever type you want. You want raw unsalted. But the reason I like the slivered almonds is because it makes the really white sauce. It doesn't have the skins on. But the skins aren't going to make a huge difference if that's all you have. And the third nut is pine nuts. Now pine nuts are really small and you don't have to soak them for as long. So maybe 30 minutes to soak them is really all you need. So we drain those, and those really do need to go in a high-speed blender like a Vitamix or a Blendtec or whatever your powerful blender is. You could also do it in a food processor, and you blend it, you get really this creamy texture. So the reason I use all three nuts is, of course, different nutrients in the different nuts, different proteins, different fats, but there's also different flavors. Like if I did all cashews, it would be a little too sweet for me. The pine nuts have more of a savory edge to them, and the almonds have some sweetness too, but they have different properties. So the combination together really makes a great creamy sauce. So the next thing we do is we saute shallots and mushrooms. 4 cups of mushrooms, and they cook down to about 1.5 cups. So we saute that and blend it all together, and this is the end result. Now I also added to this some fresh squeezed lemon juice, some nutmeg and salt and pepper, and a pinch of cayenne. And so that is our sauce, right? So we have the creamy sauce, we have our pasta, and the last thing that I want to do that I am going to cook for you really quick is some kale ribbons. So any leafy green is really beneficial, and I want us all to eat more greens. We want to eat the colors of the rainbow, but I am especially fond of kale. Cruciferous vegetables have lots of sulfur in them, and again, this is so beneficial and good for us to include some sulfur-containing vegetables every day. Okay, so I'm going to saute in avocado oil, and I like avocado oil because it has a high smoke point, and it also is flavorless. So I have a skillet here warming up, and I'm going to add a little avocado oil just so that I can stir fry my greens. So this is 1 bunch of kale, and it's the Lasiano kale, Lacanto, I don't know. Sometimes they call it dinosaur kale. And you see this big pan full of kale and you think, oh my gosh, that's way too much kale. But like all greens, it's going to cook down into a much smaller amount. So we're going to let that saute for a minute. Okay, so we have incorporated our creamy sauce into our sauteed kale. I have a serving dish that I've already put some of this spaghetti squash in. And I'm going to add the sauce on top of our noodles. So this recipe, it's so creamy, so delicious. There's no meat in it, but it has great protein from our nuts and good healthy fats. If you don't like kale and wanted to add something different to this, you could add whatever vegetable you like. If you think about fettuccine Alfredo, we have this creamy white sauce and we have the noodles. Well, you could add broccoli to that. You could make like a pasta primavera with all kinds of veggies and this nice cream sauce, whatever you want. I mean, I don't follow recipes very well. I write them and I know what I want to put in. And other than some specific things, like I know I need 2.5 cups of nuts, I just kind of go with it and I taste it along the way and make sure that it is delicious. And this is delicious. And I hope that you will try to make something like this at home and just get inspired to play with foods, to play with vegetables, and find new ways to cook and enjoy food and eat those foods with benefits. Thank you for joining me. Look for other fun videos on Duke Cancer Institute's survivorship page. And until then, wishing you all good health and good food. Thank you.